say Dak Prescott is going to win MVP with C.D. Lamb and George Pickens as his receivers. Does that seem ridiculous?
It does, you know, in totality, because there's a lot of different moving parts that are going on here in Dallas now with the new head coach and Brian Schottenheimer. We know that he has familiarity with his football team, but now he's the head coach. Dak has to get all these weapons now on the same page, mainly talking about George Pickens. I know George for his career, his average over 16 yards per reception, and CD is fantastic. There's just a lot that has to go right in order for him to have a winning season, which is kind of a prerequisite for being an MVP.
All right, this one I love.
Yeah.
If I were to say the Chargers are going to win the AFC West, not the Chiefs, is that ridiculous?
That's not ridiculous. I'll tell you what, the Chargers have had a hell of an offseason. This offensive line is massive now. The addition of Mekhi Becton, go along with Joe Alt on the right side. They can run the football. They drafted Marion Hampton. They have playmakers on the outside now on the perimeter. We know how Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert, and Jesse Minter is going to be a head coach in another year or two. So they have a fantastic defense. Look out in the West. The West is tight now.
Yeah, they're going to play such short games. It take like 2 hours and 20 minutes for them to play. Finally, if I said Shedeur Sanders is going to become the starting quarterback in Cleveland this year, is that ridiculous?
No, that's not ridiculous. And look, it's going to be incumbent upon this coaching staff to give him a path to really earn that. If they give him enough reps and he has enough opportunities and gets put in enough situations, I think his skill set is such that he can compete with anybody on that roster in the quarterback room. As a matter of fact, he can probably, you know, just one for one, man for man, beat out anybody on that roster. It's going to be about opportunity, though, Greeny. We all know this, so we'll see how they wind up giving him that opportunity.
Kmart, no one knows the AFC North like you know that division. What are you hearing in the early returns on Shedeur and Cam?
Listen, in that building, there are people who believe Shedeur can 100% be the starter of this football team. You said it's incumbent upon the Browns to put him in a situation. It's also incumbent upon Shedeur to do the work, which at talking to people in that building, they have said he is soaking up everything like a sponge in the QB rooms, talking to Flacco, wanting to learn. And also, let's not forget Dillon Gabriel. We spent a lot of time talking about Shedeur, but Dillon Gabriel is a guy who's drafted in the third. One source said to me, he is everything you want in a quarterback. He's just small. If he were a little taller, a lot of people would be looking at Dillon Gabriel a little differently. At least that's how they feel in their building. So they have a very interesting quarterback situation, and Shedeur has a path.
What is your sense, Peter?
Well, Kimberly was actually there in the spring, which I respect, and you had a feel for that. I am watching from afar and also texting people there that he has been everything you can ask for in a young quarterback coming in as a fifth-round pick. I also know it's a huge uphill climb to expect a fifth-round pick to get the same reps as a Joe Flacco or a Kenny Pickett, or even that guy in front of him, Dillon Gabriel. I thought Mike Tannenbaum made a great point on Monday on this show saying, hey, look, as much as the clock is not on him, it is kind of still on all these quarterbacks in that they have the Jacksonville pick next year in the first round, and they have their own pick in the first round. And you already start thinking about 2026, this rich quarterback draft. You say, okay, well, you've got time to prove it in training camp, but you're going to have to see and prove to those coaches that you're the guy moving forward if you're going to tell them that they can't draft a quarterback in the first round with those two picks.
You know what's interesting about that? Like, I understand, like, personnel people and fans always get enamored about what's next down the road. When you're talking about draft picks and potential guys coming out next year, like, people are now sitting there going, hey, man, maybe we can get Drew Allen from Penn State, and he would be the answer. He would be the one. How about just focus on the present and trying to, like, develop in some of the guys that you have on your roster right now? Shedeur Sanders, we've all watched him play football. We all know kind of what happened in the draft. We all know about the stories. We also know about how efficient this kid was as a football player on the football field. We know how good Dillon Gabriel looked at Oregon. We know how good he looked at Oklahoma. I saw him play multiple times there. Just focus on that. If it comes to the point where you then have to, like, go ahead and lean on that draft capital you have next year and maybe a favorable draft position, then address it then. I just hate when the conversation switches like that.
Fifth round pick, they have zero investment in him. They have their names are not on this. If we took them as a value, if it was a first or second round pick, that's my guy. We want to see this work.
Yeah.
So the sense I get in that building is something catastrophic, crazy would have to happen for Shedeur not to be on this roster. They believe in the talent. But again, and so far, I was there rookie camp. He said to me, I am not here to prove anybody wrong. I just have to prove myself right. It is on him to do the work and prove that he should be in the mix.
The world is a funny place. A year ago, we'd be having conversations like, look, if the season goes really badly next year, you can draft Shedeur Sanders. Here they are. They drafted Shedeur Sanders. Be careful what you wish for. He's going to be the starting quarterback. They have a really good coach and the stability of the organization we're accustomed to. But all of that that is predicated upon Aaron Rodgers just continuing to wait. Lewis, what is your reaction to the fact that here we are, June, whatever it is, and we still don't have anything from Aaron?
Well, I mean, look, obviously Pittsburgh has put themselves in this position by being willing to continue to wait for him. Obviously, they also know that with every organized activity that he misses, that is one less chance for him to kind of ingratiate himself to the rest of the locker room, learn the offense, really kind of develop chemistry, all the kind of things that, I think sometimes maybe people get tired of talking about because it's an intangible thing that you can't really quantify, but you damn sure can quantify when the season starts. And all of a sudden the wide receiver and quarterback are on the same page, they're arguing on the sideline, relationships start to fracture. See, those are the things that right now you're just you're making the likelihood of that happening increase exponentially every single day that he's not there. And really at this point, I mean, I don't even know if it even makes sense anymore. I don't know if it'll give them the return that I said early on back in February. Like, he is the kind of guy that they actually need. He needs Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh needs him. It made sense back then. I don't know if now they'll get their return on investment.
And this isn't the Jets last year or 2 years ago where it's this desperate franchise and, the savior Aaron Rodgers. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. This Pittsburgh Steelers that has all those Super Bowl trophies and has veteran guys in the locker room who think they could be competitive this year. Talking about Cam Hayward, who's already spoken out publicly, Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, who's not there in camp right now. Truth of the matter is this, the Steelers, as Lewis said, put themselves in this corner. When Aaron Rodgers met with them and the Giants, Aaron Rodgers said, I do not have a timetable. If you're not comfortable with that, go ahead and move on. The Giants promptly moved on and signed Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and drafted a rookie quarterback that's going to compete for the starting job at some point this season. The Steelers sat on their hands, waited, and said, it's on you. I've gotten texts from Steelers people the last 2 months saying, no update, no update. Guess what? I texted someone this morning. The text was, no update.
And their OTAs are next week. And so here's the bottom line of it. Here's what concerns me if I'm the Steelers or I'm a fan of the Steelers. In order to be what they would want him to be a great quarterback in the NFL, much less to do so at the age of 40, soon to be 41, requires a bordering on maniacal dedication to making it work. That's what we saw from Tom Brady in Tampa. What I'm about to say is not meant as a criticism of Aaron Rodgers. He's a 40, almost 41-year-old man who can do so many different things in his life if he chooses to. He is not right now not behaving as though he has that maniacal dedication to making this work. And if he doesn't, again, that doesn't make him a bad person. People like him, don't like him, doesn't make any difference to me. But I would be thinking to myself, he doesn't want this enough. That's what I would be worrying about. This isn't the only thing in his life, which is what it would have to be for this to work the way they want it to work.
Yeah, clearly there are other things that take precedence. He's got other priorities right now that he feels as though, look, in his mind, whether you agree with them or not, and I don't know, does anybody know what they are? I don't know what they are. I've never heard publicly about anything, as far as what he is dealing with that is causing him to push the timeline out. But yeah, you're right. He's not all in on it right now. And you know what happens? See, this is the thing that's most important to me. The other players see this, and you see it starting to trickle out in terms of the kind of comments that they're making. And look, I'm just telling you, when you're playing with someone, especially a quarterback who you feel as though is not fully committed and is not all in, I'm telling you at some point it'll cost you. And it won't cost you once. It'll cost you on a continual basis.
Agreed. Here's the thing, to Peter's point, this is what the Steelers set in motion by saying, we'll be patient, you take your time. I don't think it makes logical sense to now say, hey, minicamp's coming, let's draw a line in the sand, because the message you've given him is take your time.
But when? How much time?
He's not on
this is a lot of time. I know that.
He doesn't. They can't dictate.
No, I didn't. But you talked about moving on, so that's why I'm suggesting you call up Atlanta and you say, let's have a conversation about Kirk Cousins.
The money too. That Kirk is owed a lot of money, guaranteed money this year.
Hay là mình sẽ mời cái tờ giấy màu đỏ. Các bạn sẽ đưa nó vào cho mình. Mình sẽ